Hey everyone, this is Bek Abdullayev dialing in from Super Dispatch with another episode of Auto Transport Copilot. Auto Transport Copilot was launched last year as a podcast as a way to bring in interesting guests from the auto transport industry and start a conversation about what's happening in the auto transport industry, the challenges that we face as a community, as an industry, and have a dialogue going between different people, up and comers, movers and shakers, people that work inside the industry, drivers, carriers, brokers, and shippers, and other people from the automotive space that work inside the auto transport or with auto transport industry. So today I have a special guest that I'm bringing to you as a part of a series where we will start giving you an inside look into Super Dispatch. All of the previous guests have been people from the industry. Today we have a special guest from inside Super Dispatch. And the reason that I've invited someone from Super Dispatch today is I get asked a lot of questions via email or my conversations with customers around how we do things, what we're doing, what ideas we are pursuing, and who does what. So a lot of people, over 100 people, work really hard to make Super Dispatch a reality and create exceptional experience for drivers, carriers, shippers, and brokers. And I'd like to start giving you a little sneak peek into how the magic comes together at Super Dispatch. So today we have an interesting guest, Vin Yuldashev from the product team. Vin has a very interesting background. I'm really excited to have him on the show today and hear more from him. Vin has been working on an interesting project lately around pricing. So that's the main topic that we're going to get into. Super Dispatch also has some new stuff that we're coming out with, some free tools, some paid tools, an API product. So Vin is going to get into all of that. So without further ado, I want to introduce Vin Yuldashev from the product team at Super Dispatch. Vin has been at Super Dispatch for a long time. He has worked different teams at Super Dispatch. I believe Vin was employee number 3 or 4, but I'll let him tell his story and how he ended up in auto transport in the first place. Vin, welcome to Auto Transport Copilot.
Thank you, Beck, for having me. I really appreciate it. This is very exciting. I believe that this is an amazing thing to look into Super Dispatch, and being the first one from the team. It's an honor. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this is you're a great candidate. I love sharing your story with others, but I want to let you share your story. I'll just start you off by saying that you are one of the people at Super Dispatch who came from car hauling, and you used to haul cars in college. Is that right?
Right. I got into it in college. That's right. So I've been with Super Dispatch for over 8 years, and I've done sales, marketing, support, anything you need, right? Like you mentioned in the early days. But most of my time has been spent in product, and I'm loving it. In auto transport, I spent around 15 years. I don't know. It's crazy how long it's been since the early days, but I love the industry. I think I got into it because from the childhood, I always wanted to try out being a truck driver. Playing simulation games, and it's just like always had this thing, I got to try it out. And I did get into it when finishing up the college and working within the fleet, doing the driving, being on the road, doing the dispatching, hunting for loads, working with multiple drivers. And I got to tell you, man, I have mad respect for drivers out there. What they're doing today, I think car hauling is, if not one of the most difficult type of trucking on the road. There's just so many responsibilities, and there's so many things that can go wrong. And I've seen it myself on the road, and it's amazing what the people are doing out there for the drivers. I have like a lot of respect for them.
Yeah. So I agree with you. I got to experience that firsthand before I started Super Dispatch, not only as a dispatcher, but also as someone who got to ride along with car haulers and watch how cars get moved around the country, right? So take us back about 10 years, 10, 15 years of when you got into the industry and what things were like back then.
Yeah. I remember booking my first load and just getting it, from the auction, showing up in the auction and, looking for cars around the auction. It was very difficult. There was no specific location. At that time, I thought, man, this is really hard. You got to go into the auction, make sure the car is there, but nobody knows it's there. I mean, it's there in the system, but you have to go find it, jumpstart it, get it out, load it, secure it, and make sure then you drive the driving itself then starts. It was the times when we had to fill out the carbon copy, 3 copies of the BOL and mark all the scratches in there. And if you missed something, it was on you as a driver. It was tough. I myself had a digital camera with me. I had to make sure I took a picture for myself. And actually, it saved me a couple of times from insurance claims. The insurance contacted me and I showed them the picture and it got away. There's some, not honest people who would put it on the drivers. So at that time, I ran into it. The paperwork of invoicing was very difficult, to stopping there in the truck stop, typing in all the information from the BOL and then finding the details and sending it to brokers. And I've seen people actually snail mailing to the FedEx, putting in their BOLs and sending it to their companies as well. So it was like today, when I think of it, the technology has helped a lot, but still there's a lot of things that we still do, like back in the days of confirming pickup deliveries, asking if it's paid for or not. There's still some processes that exist today, and like tracking, I don't think, it's not as getting your Amazon pen, tracking, like real-time tracking is still lacking in the industry. So there's a lot of things that still happen, but back in the days, it was very manual process. And it's just being on the road itself and loading, unloading, and working with the locations. It was very tough, I would say.
So what do you think from when you were transporting cars yourself and working directly with brokers and shippers and other carriers? What has changed in the last 15 years based on what you know today? Today, you get to work directly with the same types of companies, right? You continue working with carriers, brokers and shippers, just from a super dispatch perspective, as building technology and products that make auto transport easier for them. So what have you seen change in the last 15 years in the auto transport industry based on how you think it used to be for everyone involved, right? Every time a car is moved, it's not just a carrier, there's a driver, there's a dispatcher, there's an accountant, there's, carrier operations, there's broker or shipper, pickup, delivery, residential, commercial. There's lots of stakeholders, lots of moving pieces. So, what have you noticed change in the last 15 years?
Yeah, I think the biggest change we saw, the elimination of paperwork is the biggest one. I mean, it might still exist in some areas, but like digital BOLs became standard. Before it wasn't. We had to buy those carbon copies, and carry them in my truck all the time. The invoicing piece was still like, it wasn't automated as much as today. Then a tracking piece. As a driver back then, I didn't have a way to share my tracking. I had to buy expensive equipment to do that. Today, it's so easy with smartphones. Back in the days, even as I wanted to, I couldn't do it. So today, it's a choice. If the driver wants to do it, it's right there with their hands. And having visibility into maybe auctions, I would say like booking experience on in the marketplaces, in the load boards, it is improving. Things like instant booking, instantly securing loads is becoming normal. When before you had to just literally, like, whoever picks up the phone first gets it. You have to stay there on hold, and when you're on hold, you're not the first one. So like your hopes go down very quickly. So as a carrier on that side, I think as a broker and shipper, for shippers, especially now, I see a trend. I mean, a lot of shippers are going towards technology as they see a lot of benefits of technology. It's becoming norm to demand the technology piece from the transporters and from brokers that serve. So it's becoming a standard, which is huge. That's why I love this industry. That's why I love working at Super Dispatch, because we're at that hump. I feel like we're kind of there, and we're almost getting there, where everybody is required in a way to be digital, because everybody wants visibility and transparency. So I see that as a big thing, as change in terms of everybody has access to information. The transparency is getting there. And I think everybody wins if there's transparency.
Well, thanks for sharing your background, Vin. Today, I invited you here to talk about something exciting that you've been working on. This is the topic of pricing in auto transport. So let's start with talking about pricing in general. What role does pricing play in the auto transport industry for all the companies involved?
Yeah, it's huge. I think it's the most important element of the load. And I know it, and I talk about it that way because when I talk to brokers and shippers, and when their loads don't move on the load board, and I ask them, what do you do if you don't find the carrier within 2 days, let's say? They all say, I bumped the price. That's their number one tool, is they keep bumping the price at the right price. They're going to find the carrier. So it's just a matter of how much you're willing to pay, and then the carrier will take it. So for the brokers, shippers, I guess in general, speaking for carriers, it's what their income is, right? So for them, it's very important. And every carrier is different. Everybody's profit margins are different. For some, fleets versus owner operators, where they position, how much capital they have. They have certain, certain areas that they would go to or not. And, so but for brokers, it's critical. Like the pricing piece really eats up their profit. So the cost of transport versus how much they charge their customer, that's their profit in between. So the more they pay for transport, that shrinks up really very fast. So I think it's very critical for brokers, especially given that their profit lies right there. And for shippers, it's also depending what kind of shipper it is. But I would say I've been seeing a lot of auto auctions building in transport piece into their offering right there within, buying and selling cars. A lot of them now have quoting right there. And when dealer buys a car, the transport is a big piece of it. Because if the transport is $1,000, it's not that attractive versus the car that's $300 for transport. So dealers want to know transport cost before buying the car. So all those things, really, the pricing drives a lot of decisions, and it's very complex. And I think it affects everybody in this.
Yeah, I agree for sure. A lot of the conversations about moving a car start with a simple question of what does it cost? And how do we come up with what it costs to transport a car? And some of the things that I've seen in my time in auto transport is from, you make the point about the broker, like they have to optimize that margin. So it's very important and critical for them to get the transport costs right and get their quotes right, like what they're quoting the client and what they're charging for the service, and ultimately the cost of transporting a car. On the carrier side, from what I've seen, you can't always tell that the jobs that you're taking, the loads that you're accepting, are going to be profitable for your business. Are you going to make money on this load? If so, then how much? It's sort of unclear. There isn't a guidance on that, or sometimes the metrics aren't in place for carriers to figure out like what types of loads are sustainable. They should be accepting or negotiating for to make sure they're profitable. And then on the broker side, you touched on that. I'll add on the shipper side. I think what I see is they're managing budgets, right? You talked about dealers. They need to know the cost. So when they make decision purchases, am I going to buy this car? Or how am I going to handle transitional transportation of these cars, or buying and selling of these cars? As well as some planning, forecasting, right? What portion of my operations is going to go towards transport? How much will my transport expenses be? And there hasn't been a universal place for the whole industry where you can see the benchmark of what it costs to move a car. And this is something that you've been working on for over a year. And this is something that we provide to our shipper team as customers, which are brokers and shippers. But there's some new exciting stuff that I hope we'll get to see today during the show. But tell us a little bit about what Super Dispatch has done so far to help the industry overall and our customers, carriers, brokers, and shippers have more transparency and access to pricing information?
Yeah, like we talked about, the pricing being the most important aspect of it, and we're offering we call it pricing insights. It's like a suite of data points, and it is designed to help you figure out how much it might cost to transport cars. And within that suite of data points, we have a thing called recommended price. So it's the price that we recommend. And we think that it would, given the current market conditions, that's the price it should move if you post it on the marketplace, and you should be able to find the carrier. And, that recommendation is driven by a lot of data, information, and, transactions that happen on the platform. And it's fueled by AI, the machine learning algorithms. It powers the predictions. And we call it internally Lima, is our algorithm that's currently in production. It works, and it's the brain of the system that generates this, and it's using millions of data points, and its machine learning means that Lima gets smarter over time. It's updating the predictions, and it's processing the data based on the market changes. So there's different dynamics into it, what it takes into account, but just like any, without getting into the secret sauce, it's using the data of where you're delivering it, what kind of car is it the type of it, is it inoperable, is it enclosed trailer, right? It's very dynamic. And how recent data you're going to look at, like, has it been moved yesterday or has it moved 180 days ago? So all that kind of makes up into this algorithm, and it gets smarter over time, and it gets better at it. And we have in that suite of data points to kind of not to just tell you, hey, it costs $500. We give our confidence score to tell you that, hey, this confidence score gives you the score. It shows you how much this shipment of this car, it looks like the ones that we already have done in a way. So if we have moved a lot of similar cars to it, the confidence score will be very high, which means, hey, this car that you're moving is very similar to what we moved last week, for example. So we have very high confidence that most likely it's going to be moved for that price.
So what you're saying is we have pricing recommendations. And I know that today, anybody who is using the Shipper TMS product, these are brokers and shippers, they have access to the pricing data, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And the new thing is that we've added is, in addition to recommendations, load board postings, and other data points to help our customers figure out the right price, we are launching the confidence score, which essentially tells the user how strong is the recommendation and how much data we have around it to how accurate we believe they are. So that at the end of the day, the difference is going to be the customer is going to know if the price we're quoting or recommending or suggesting is accurate as far as we know, or if we're not quite sure on how accurate it is, the confidence score will rank lower.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
And what are the examples of confidence scores? Is it a percentage or points?
Right. It's a points up to 100.
Okay. So if it says 100, then most likely the price is very accurate. But if it says 50 or 60, then it may not be as accurate.
Correct.
Okay. Got it. So will these things, when will we see these things inside the Shipper TMS product?
So we have, like you mentioned, that suite. So inside the Shipper TMS, it's coming in the next 30 days or so. But in the API, the Pricing Insights API that we have launched, it already exists. So in the API, we already share that data so that the brokers, when they're quoting, they could put in their margins, and that kind of gives them a hint around that prediction.
Right. So API is a standalone product, right? And anyone, whether they are a Super Dispatch customer or not, can purchase that. Is that right?
That's right.
And then the Pricing Insights API will provide quoting recommendations or suggested pricing, as well as the confidence score based on the type of a car, type of a move, origin, destination. Okay. So that's new. And if somebody wants access to that, how do they get access to the Pricing Insights API?
So I think that everybody who wants to try it out, they want to test drive it, right? So it's very important to know, to kind of get your hands on what does it look like. We have a couple of things that people can test on. Like, number one, we have a pricing tool right on our website that anybody can come in and put in the information, pick up delivery, the vehicle, and we give them the price, and we give them the data points of the most recent moves. We will tell them, hey, here's the last 10 moves that are very similar to it, and what's currently available in the load board. That kind of gives you also a data point. And that will give them an idea of where we're at. And the second area is that we also know that getting it through API is very difficult, because you have to integrate, get all these things, involve your development team. That takes a lot of time. So instead, you can generate a sample size through a CSV file. Anybody can copy and paste their vehicle pickup deliveries and hit a button, and it gives them the results of the recommended price and the confidence score. So they can see 20, 30, 50 results of what it looks like. And then once they're satisfied that, hey, this fits our use case, then they could, go ahead and integrate and purchase the API.
Great. So three ways people can access the Pricing Insights is, one is inside the product. If you are an existing customer, and you're going to show us what that looks like, correct? So if you're an existing Super Dispatch customer, you already have access to Pricing Insights for some time now. But now we're going to have a standalone separate product that is a Pricing Insights API. And this is for higher volume customers. We already have multiple customers using this API to power their checkout experience, or their platforms, or their marketplaces, or their quoting tools. So in addition to that, there is, and I love this tool. I use it personally myself sometimes to check some prices. On our website, there is a free Pricing Insights tool. Anyone can go in, type in origin, destination, type of a car, and get the pricing data, Pricing Insights. Correct?
Correct. That's right.
Great. So yeah, we'd love to see it. If you have your screens ready, it would be great to see those three things: what we show inside the product for Pricing Insights, the demo of the CSV, of how you can test the API access before you integrate it, and then how the Pricing Insights work, where it is and how it works.
So this page, Pricing Insights, if you go to our website, you would go to resources, and it says free Pricing Insights tool. You would go in this page, and all you need is your pickup and delivery. Let me just put in Kansas City, Missouri, going to, let's say, Chicago, Illinois. Okay, so Kansas City to Chicago, open trailer, 22 Volkswagen Atlas SUV. I would calculate it, and it generates me that it's recommending $317 as the price. That's 63 cents per mile. The distance around 500 miles. So this is the price that we recommend that gets the car moved. And we are pulling some of the most recent moves on this lane. For example, this was dispatched a couple of days ago, and it's delivered a couple of days ago. So it's some of the recent data sprinkled in to give you some data points from where to where, what kind of car it is, what price it is. And you look at this, and also you can look at what's currently posted on the load board. It's $325. Ours is pretty close to it. And that's the recommendation that you can use.
Great. Thank you, Vin. So now let's see, what does it look like when I am inside the TMS system and I want to see pricing information inside my load?
Yeah, so let me jump into the shipper TMS here, and I am inside the load view. I have already created a load from Kansas City to Chicago. I put in the VIN. It decoded me the details here, and it's recommending the 318. So when you price a load, we tell you that, hey, it's below recommended price. It's up to you if you want to take it, but that's the recommendation here. And here's Pricing Insights that is accessed while you're building the load, or once you build the load. We're giving you the same data points here. We tell you what kind of data influenced that price and how recent it is. We tell you what's available in the load board to again see how your posting is competing with other postings. We also have a table that tells you, look at different vehicle types, look what inoperables move for. Again, this is a reference. So as shipper TMS is used by brokers and shippers, people look at different things. I think for shippers who are not experienced to transport, they don't really get into details. They just look at the price, and they most likely they use that number. The brokers who really are more or less looking at the profit margin, they are optimizing. They're looking into more details. They're studying carefully, and then kind of looking at the price and setting their number. So it's different use case, and different customers approach it differently, the price and the load.
I don't understand why it's recommending 317 instead of 318. Shouldn't it recommend the same price for the same type of a car? Like, should we be showing that it's providing inconsistent pricing, even if it's off by just $1? We
could share this information where we upload vehicle details. We say if it's inoperable or not. We put an origin, destination, city, states, and we will be able to generate the prices, the price per mile, and the confidence score. And this would be, you would get the same results if you did it through API. So this is the quickest way to know what the values would be without integration, the official integration yet. So in this example here, I have Dallas, Houston pickup truck. It's recommending $204. The confidence is 94 out of 100. Same thing here for 72 confidence is Decatur, Louisiana to Butler, Pennsylvania. I think these are not in the big cities. These are more outside of the cities. That's why the confidence would be lower, as it is not a lot of volume in that route specifically, but it still gives you an idea of that. It's around $800. And, it's consistent with, in a way, the short distance moves are more expensive versus long distance moves are cheaper per mile.
Thank you, Vin. So this is really exciting. It's really nice to see that we are tackling the ability of the industry to have access and some transparency around cost of transportation. Like we were talking about earlier, it's important for the carriers to know and see what the market rates are, so they can make good decisions on what loads to move and at what price. It's important for the brokers because their entire business model exists on the margin. They make based on cost of transport and the surcharge for the services they provide for the shippers, and for the shippers to plan, budget, and make decisions around buying, selling cars and transporting them. So the three options we have today are, if you are a Super Dispatch customer, you have access already to the latest algorithm that provides pricing insights. If you are not a Super Dispatch customer, you can access pricing insights for free, one at a time, on the Super Dispatch website. You go to resources, you click on free pricing tool, boom, origin, destination, car, calculate, you will get pricing recommendations. And finally, for the larger customers that we service today, they are using the Pricing Insights API, which has been in the pilot phase. And what it does is that it gives you high volume, a high number. This is in the thousands or tens of thousands of requests for price. We can accommodate that. So not only does it give you a price recommendation, which is based on everything we know, we believe this is the cost of transport. This is likely to be the cost of transport. It's our suggestion. But the new thing we're adding is the confidence score. How confident are we? How much can you trust? How much should you trust our recommendation? We're openly, transparently sharing that some of the recommendations, especially in the rural areas, may not be as reliable. But if the confidence score is high, 90, 95, 99, maybe 100 in some cases, then our recommendation is more reliable than the ones with lower scores. Right? Thank you, Vin. I appreciate you demoing what's available today. For those, if anyone is interested in learning more or talking to Vin, if you have suggestions or ideas, or if you have feedback, or if you want access to any of these, let us know. Reach out to us. you can email me at superbeck@superdispatch.com, or you can just go to our website and call us or email us or chat with us. So Vin, one last question I have for you on this episode, which means that you might come back to talk about other topics, is we are here today. We have the suite of tools we are providing to existing customers. What is the future of pricing and pricing products at Super Dispatch?
Like you mentioned, our customer base is increasing and there's a lot more need for pricing the loads. Like you mentioned, checkout experiences, right? It's becoming very standard in the industry to offer that. I think specific regarding the pricing, we want to be able to forecast the future in a way to understand really what has been happening. Maybe every year it's very consistent to the time of the year. I mean, we have seasonality in this industry. I think it would be important for us to really give those insights more detailed in terms of where has it been, what has affected it, maybe gas prices, the weather events, things like that. Really real-time supply and demand plays a big role in this, and more those elements should be baked into the pricing. So the future looks more into the forecasting. I see more of forecasting being built into the pricing tools to give them that intelligence, the insights, especially for brokers. It's essential information when they're trying to win big business in the future. They will be able to understand how on a specific lane the price fluctuates depending on the type of the year, the time of the year, and type of moves you're doing. So it's going to become a very powerful tool to really give them those insights.
Great. Well, I'm excited. I can't wait. So when you have new stuff that comes out as part of Pricing Insights product, we're going to have you back on the show to show us all the newest and coolest stuff.
Absolutely. Would love to.
Thanks, Vin. Appreciate you taking time to be on the show.
Well, thank you for having me, man. Really, I'm honored and happy to be back. Anytime, just let me know.
Yeah, we'll see you later.
All right, bye.
Thank you. That was another episode of Auto Transport Copilot. If you have any questions, if you want to talk to me or anyone at Super Dispatch, if you want to talk to Vin or get access to anything Super Dispatch, let me know. You can email me directly at superbeck@superdispatch.com. I'm constantly talking to customers or people from the industry about any topic, any challenges, any problems, technology-wise or industry-related. For now, I wish you all well. Thank you for taking time to join us today for Auto Transport Copilot.